Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Gossips 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. OMG doesn't even begin to cover it, because the moment the truth starts slipping through the cracks, life at Forrester Creations turns into a slow-motion disaster no one can stop. It begins quietly, almost innocently, the way all the most destructive secrets do. Hope Logan thinks she finally has her footing again. After months of heartbreak, public humiliation and private grief, she's rebuilt herself piece by piece. She's back at Forrester, her line is thriving again, and for the first time in what feels like forever, she wakes up without that crushing weight on her chest. What no one knows, what no one is supposed to know, is that the one person helping her stand tall again isn't just her boss. He's the man who reaches for her hand when the office doors close, the man who listens when she finally lets herself cry, the man who looks at her like she isn't broken, like she isn't someone to be managed or protected. He's her lover. And when that truth explodes into the open, it doesn't just shock Brooke Logan. It ignites a war that will tear families apart, destroy trust, and force Steffy Forrester to make a claim so explosive it borders on treason. Hope never planned for it to happen this way. It wasn't supposed to be scandalous. It wasn't supposed to be reckless. It was just human. Two people, both bruised by love, finding comfort where they weren't supposed to. At first, it's stolen glances across the design room, a brush of fingers when passing sketches, long conversations that stretch past work hours because neither of them wants to go home to an empty house. Hope tells herself it's temporary, that she'll shut it down before it becomes something that could hurt anyone. But feelings don't ask for permission, and the more her boss supports her, defends her ideas, believes in her vision, gives her space to be strong instead of fragile, the deeper she falls. By the time she realizes she's crossed a line, she's already on the other side, heart fully involved, pretending she doesn't flinch every time someone walks into the room unexpectedly. The first crack appears when Brooke notices something is off. Mothers always know. Hope's smile lingers too long when she mentions work. Her phone lights up late at night, and she steps away to answer. She's calmer, steadier, but there's an edge there too, a nervous energy that makes Brooke uneasy. Brooke asks gentle questions at first, the kind that sound casual but aren't. How's work really going? You seem happy. Hope deflects, laughs it off, says she's just finally finding herself again. Brooke wants to believe her. She really does. After everything Hope's been through, Brooke wants nothing more than her daughter's peace. But then she overhears a conversation at Forrester, just fragments, a hushed tone, Hope's name spoken with familiarity by someone who absolutely should not be speaking about her that way. And suddenly Brooke's stomach drops. The confrontation is explosive and private at first, happening behind closed doors at Brooke's house. Brooke doesn't ease into it. She can't. Her voice shakes as she demands the truth, her eyes locked on Hope's face, searching for denial. What she gets instead is silence. And in that silence, everything clicks into place. Hope finally admits it, not with defiance, not with pride, but with a quiet honesty that somehow makes it worse. I didn't plan it. I didn't mean for it to happen. But it did. Brooke feels like the floor has vanished beneath her feet. Her daughter involved with her own boss. A man with power over her career. A man whose name alone could destroy Hope's reputation if this gets out. Brooke hears alarm bells, red flags, every mistake she's made in her own life screaming back at her through memory. She doesn't see romance. She sees danger. Brooke's reaction is immediate and fierce. This cannot continue. Not under her watch. Not at Forrester Creations. She issues a ban so swift and shocking it leaves Hope stunned. The relationship must end. Now, if it doesn't, Brooke will make sure Hope is removed from the situation entirely, even if that means forcing her out of the company she helped build. To Brooke, this isn't about control. It's about protection. She tells Hope she's repeating history, walking straight into a power imbalance that can only end one way. Hope listens, tears streaming down her face, because she understands Brooke's fear. But she also knows this isn't some manipulation or fantasy. This is real. And for the first time in her life, Hope doesn't want to run just because someone tells her to. Word travels fast at Forrester, especially when Steffy Forrester senses blood in the water. Steffy notices the tension, the whispered conversations that stop when she enters a room, The way Brooke storms through the office with fire in her eyes. When she learns the truth, that Hope Logan is secretly involved with her boss, Steffy's shock quickly hardens into something sharper. Suspicion, anger, and then calculation. To Steffy, this isn't just a scandal. It's a threat. Forrester Creations has survived too many internal betrayals, too many personal relationships poisoning professional decisions. And now Hope's sweet moral, holier than hope, is at the center of one. Steffy doesn't see a love story. She sees leverage. Steffy confronts Brooke first, and the conversation is anything but sympathetic. Steffy calls it what she believes it is. A breach of ethics so severe it could put the entire company at risk. She accuses Brooke of going soft, of trying to handle a corporate disaster like a family squabble. And then she drops the word that changes everything. This isn't just inappropriate. It's treason against this company. Brooke is stunned. Treason is a word Steffy doesn't use lightly, and the implication is chilling. That Hope's relationship isn't just personal misconduct, but a deliberate act that could compromise Forrester's leadership, decisions, and future. Steffy insists that if Hope has influence over her boss, then every choice he's made regarding Hope's line is now suspect. Every success is tainted. Every failure conveniently avoided. When Steffy takes this accusation public within the company, the fallout is nuclear. Meetings are called. Legal teams whisper in hallways. Executives look at Hope differently now, not as a designer or a brand but as a liability. Hope walks into the building one morning and feels it instantly. The stares. The silence. The judgment. No one says anything to her face, but she can feel her world shrinking. Her lover tries to reassure her, promising he'll handle it, that he'll protect her. But for the first time, Hope wonders if this relationship, the thing that made her feel strong again, is about to cost her everything she worked for. The most devastating moment comes when Brooke and Hope clash again, this time with no soft edges left. Brooke tells Hope that Steffy is pushing for formal action, that the board is considering consequences that could permanently damage her career. Brooke begs her to end it, to walk away before it's too late. Hope finally snaps, not in anger but in heartbreak. She tells Brooke she's tired of being treated like a fragile mistake waiting to happen. She's tired of everyone assuming she's being used, manipulated, or corrupted. What if I'm choosing this? Hope asks, her voice breaking. What if this is the first thing in my life that's actually mine? Steffy meanwhile doubles down. She files a formal complaint, framing the relationship as a calculated betrayal of Forrester values. She uses words like conflict of interest, abuse of power, and corporate sabotage. Treason. The word echoes through every conversation, every document, every tense exchange. And while Steffy insists this is about protecting the company, there's no denying the personal satisfaction in finally knocking Hope off the moral pedestal she stood on for years. To Steffy, this proves what she's always believed. That Hope isn't better, just better at hiding her flaws. As pressure mounts, Hope faces an impossible choice. End the relationship and keep her career, or stand by the man she loves and risk losing everything. Brooke watches her daughter unravel, torn between fear and pride, and begins to question whether her shocking ban pushed Hope further into isolation instead of safety. And Steffy, convinced she's saving Forrester Creations, may be setting off consequences she can't control. Because secrets never stay buried forever, and the deeper the accusation of treason goes, the more dangerous the truth becomes. By the time the dust settles, nothing will be the same. Love will be questioned. Loyalties will be tested. And Hope Logan, the woman everyone thought they understood, will have to decide who she really is when the world turns against her. One thing is certain, this isn't just a scandal. It's a reckoning. And the fallout will rock the bold and the beautiful to its core. The fallout doesn't slow. It deepens, thickens, becomes something you can almost taste in the air at Forrester Creations. Every hallway feels narrower now, every smile forced, every polite greeting laced with suspicion. Hope feels it most sharply when she walks past the glass-walled conference room and sees her name written on the agenda in bold letters, surrounded by words like ethics, review, and corporate exposure. She pauses just long enough to read it before forcing herself to keep moving, spine straight, chin lifted, even as her heart pounds so loudly she's sure someone else must hear it. This isn't just about love anymore. It's about survival. Her lover, her boss, tries to act calm, professional, untouchable. In public, he's all authority and restraint. In private, he's shaken. Hope sees it in the way his hands tremble when he pours coffee, in the way he watches the door as if expecting someone to burst in at any second. He insists that Steffy's accusations won't stick, that he followed protocol, that Hope earned every win her line achieved. But even as he says it, there's a crack in his voice. Because power doesn't protect you when perception turns. And right now, perception is everything. Steffy wastes no time pushing her narrative harder. She schedules back-to-back meetings with the board, armed with timelines, approval records, and carefully selected examples meant to paint a picture of manipulation, subtle, plausible, devastating. She never outright says Hope planned this. She doesn't have to. She just asks the questions no one wants to answer. Why was Hope's line renewed so quickly? Why were budget overruns forgiven? Why were her failures softened while others paid the price? Each question lands like a stone dropped into still water, ripples spreading wider with every raised eyebrow around the table. Brooke sits through one of these meetings in silence, jaw clenched so tightly it aches. She wants to stand up, to scream that this is her daughter they're talking about, that Hope isn't a schemer or a seductress, that she's human and hurting and in love. But Brooke also knows the rules of this room. Emotion is weakness here. And the more Steffy frames this as a corporate betrayal, the more Brooke fears she's already lost control of the situation. Her shocking ban was meant to stop a fire. Instead, it may have poured gasoline on it. When Hope is finally called into a formal review meeting, the walk from the elevator to the conference room feels like a march to the gallows. Brooke offers to go with her, but Hope refuses gently. This is something she has to face alone. She straightens her shoulders before opening the door, stepping into a room full of faces that once cheered her success and now study her like a problem to be solved. Steffy sits at the head of the table, expression unreadable, hands folded neatly in front of her. Power looks effortless on her. The questions come fast and cold. Did Hope disclose the relationship? When did it begin? Was she aware of company policy regarding workplace relationships, particularly those involving direct authority? Hope answers honestly, voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. Yes, she should have disclosed sooner. Yes, she understands the policy. No, she never asked for favors. No, she never influenced decisions. She talks about her work, her dedication, the countless nights she spent refining designs, the risks she took that paid off because she believed in her vision. For a moment, the room almost softens. Almost. Then Steffy speaks. Calm. Controlled. Surgical. She doesn't attack Hope directly. She attacks the situation. She talks about optics, about investor confidence, about how a single scandal can undo decades of trust. And then she says it again, that word that feels like a knife. This crosses into treason against the company's values. The room goes silent. Hope feels the air leave her lungs. Treason. As if loving someone were an act of war. Outside the boardroom, whispers grow louder. Employees pick sides. Some defend Hope quietly, remembering her kindness, her integrity, the way she fought for her team. Others shake their heads, convinced this proves what they've always suspected, that Hope's success was too clean, too perfect. Social media catches wind of the scandal, and suddenly headlines blur fact and rumor into one ugly narrative. Hope Logan, sleeping her way to the top. Brooke Logan's daughter repeats her mother's mistakes. Forrester creations in crisis. Hope stops checking her phone when the comments become unbearable. At home, Brooke finally breaks. She cries in the kitchen late at night, surrounded by memories of raising Hope to believe in honesty, boundaries, and self-worth. She wonders where she went wrong. Or if this was inevitable, a collision between love and power that no amount of good intentions could prevent. When Hope comes home one evening exhausted and hollow-eyed, Brooke reaches for her, pulling her into a hug that feels like an apology. I was trying to protect you, Brooke whispers. Hope clings to her, whispering back, I know. But knowing doesn't erase the damage. The lover at the center of it all makes a move that changes everything. In a bid to shield Hope, he offers to step down, temporarily at least. He frames it as taking responsibility, removing any appearance of impropriety. To Hope, it feels like abandonment dressed up as sacrifice. They argue quietly, painfully, both of them saying things they don't mean because fear has a way of sharpening words. Hope accuses him of choosing the company over her. He accuses her of not seeing the bigger picture. By the end of the night, neither of them is sure where they stand. Steffy seizes on his decision as proof. Proof that the relationship compromised leadership. Proof that her instincts were right. She pushes for Hope's suspension pending further investigation, arguing that even if the relationship ends, the damage is already done. Brooke fights back now, no longer willing to stay silent. She challenges Steffy's motives, asking point-blank whether this is really about protecting Forrester, or about finally taking Hope down. The tension between them crackles, old rivalries reigniting with new fury. This isn't just business. It's personal. It always has been. Hope reaches a breaking point when she overhears two co-workers talking about her in the hallway. Their voices hushed but cruel. She doesn't confront them. She just goes to the restroom and locks herself in a stall, pressing her fist against her mouth to keep from sobbing out loud. For years she tried to be the good one, the moral one, the one who didn't make waves. And now she's the villain in a story she never meant to star in. Something inside her hardens in that moment. Shame gives way to resolve. When Hope finally speaks again, to the board, to Brooke, to Steffy, it's with a clarity that surprises everyone. She doesn't beg. She doesn't apologize for loving someone. She apologizes only for failing to disclose the relationship sooner, for underestimating the impact it would have. Then she draws a line. She says she will not accept being labeled a traitor, a manipulator, or a cautionary tale. She offers to step away from her line temporarily if that's what it takes to restore confidence, but she will not let her entire career be erased by a word as loaded as treason. The room is split. Some see strength. Others see defiance. Steffy watches closely, realizing too late that pushing Hope this far may have awakened something dangerous. Hope is no longer trying to please. She's fighting back. As days turn into weeks, the scandal reshapes everyone involved. Brooke starts questioning her own instincts, wondering whether fear of history repeating itself blinded her to her daughter's autonomy. Steffy, praised publicly for her decisive leadership, lies awake at night replaying every move, every accusation, wondering if she crossed a line she can't uncross. And Hope stands at the center of it all, transformed by fire. The final decision looms, but one truth is already clear. Nothing about this will go back to the way it was. Love has been exposed, power challenged, and loyalties laid bare. Whether Hope walks away vindicated or devastated, she will never again be just Brooke Logan's daughter, just the face of a fashion line, just the good girl everyone thought they knew. She has been tested, and whatever comes next, she will face it on her own terms. Because in the world of the bold and the beautiful, scandals fade, but reckoning leaves scars. And this one has only just begun. The reckoning arrives not with a gavel or a shouted verdict, but with a quiet email that lands in Hope's inbox early one morning, its subject line so neutral it almost feels cruel: final determination. Her hands shake as she opens it, every muscle in her body braced for impact. The board's decision is measured, carefully worded, and devastating in its own restrained way. Hope will not be terminated. Her line will not be erased. But she is being placed on an extended leave of absence, her authority temporarily stripped, her role re-evaluated, once the dust settles. It's a compromise, one meant to calm investors without admitting fault, but to Hope it feels like exile. Brooke reads the email over Hope's shoulder and exhales a breath she didn't realize she was holding. Relief and grief mix together until she can't tell them apart. Her daughter is safe technically, but she's also sidelined, punished for a truth that never should have become a spectacle. Brooke wants to celebrate the small mercy, yet she sees the hollow look in Hope's eyes and knows this victory tastes like ash. She reaches for Hope's hand, promising this isn't the end, that people will remember her talent, her integrity. Hope nods, but she's already somewhere else, mourning the version of her life that just slipped away. Steffy accepts the outcome publicly with professionalism, issuing a statement about preserving Forrester Creations' values. Privately, the win feels incomplete. Hope wasn't destroyed, only displaced. And the word treason, the one that once felt so powerful on her tongue, now echoes back at her with an uncomfortable weight. She tells herself she did what she had to do, that leadership requires hard choices. Still, when she passes Hope in the hallway for the last time before the leave begins, There's a flicker of something in Steffy's eyes that looks dangerously close to doubt. The hardest conversation comes later that night, when Hope meets her lover one final time before stepping away from everything familiar. There are no raised voices now, no accusations, just exhaustion. He tells her he's sorry, that he never meant for his position to become a weapon against her. Hope believes him. She also knows belief doesn't fix consequences. They stand there inches apart, realizing that love, when tangled with power, doesn't just hurt the people inside it. It burns everything around it too. They don't officially end things. They don't promise to keep going. They leave it unresolved, a question mark neither of them is strong enough to answer. As Hope packs her things, she pauses at her desk, fingers brushing the sketches that once felt like her future. She doesn't cry. She's cried enough. Instead, she takes a slow breath and straightens up, a quiet resolve settling into her bones. This may be a setback, but it's not a surrender. She's learned something painful and permanent. Being good doesn't protect you, and being silent can be just as dangerous as being wrong. When she walks out of Forrester Creations, she does it with her head high, not defeated but changed. Outside, the world keeps moving. Scandals shift. Headlines fade. But inside Hope Logan, something new takes root. A strength that doesn't ask permission. A voice that won't be muted again. And somewhere down the line, whether at Forrester or beyond, she will return, not as a cautionary tale or a whispered rumor, but as a woman who survived being labeled a traitor and refused to disappear. In the end, that may be the boldest, most beautiful transformation of all.